Hey everyone, I'm back with another Orange County housing market update for November of 2025. We're going to be going through a lot of charts and data and just overall talking about what's going on here in the housing market so you know what to expect if you're thinking about buying or selling a home in the relatively near future. I'm Tim Hamilton with StellarQuest Real Estate. And if you are thinking about buying or selling a home, feel free to call, text, or email me anytime. You can find all of my contact information in the description below. If you enjoy watching this video, I would really appreciate it if you hit the like button and also subscribe if you like to stay up to date on the housing market. So we're going to go ahead and look at a couple charts that were in the most recent Orange County Housing Report by Stephen Thomas. And if you'd like to read that full report, just let me know and I'd be happy to send a copy of it to you. And I can continue to send it on a bi-weekly basis if that's something you're interested in. And so the top chart we're looking at here, this and both of these charts really are breaking down the impact that interest rates have on affordability. And there's two ways of thinking about it. So on the top chart, what we're looking at here is if a buyer wants a $7,000 monthly mortgage payment, so assuming they're putting 20% down, how much of what price of home can they afford to buy at different interest rates? So you can see right there in the middle at 6.25%, that's about where we're at today. This buyer could afford to purchase a home at $1,421,250. But if rates were to drop all the way back down to 5.5%, all of a sudden this buyer can now afford to purchase a home at $1,541,250 without increasing their monthly payment on the mortgage side at all. And then, going back when we had much higher rates, going all the way up to 7.5%, this buyer could only afford to purchase a $1.25 million home, roughly. So you can see that as rates drop, this really changes how much purchasing power a buyer has. And so the bottom graph here is showing what the mortgage payment would be on a $1.4 million home with a $1.2 million loan. And so you can see at 6.25%, that monthly mortgage payment would be about $6,896. And if rates go all the way back down to 5.5%, that payment would drop to $6,359. And so that would be saving $13,000 roughly a year. So if you wanted to, purchase a home at the same price as today, if rates dropped down way, 5.5%, which is probably unlikely in the near future, you'd be saving a lot of money every year just based on mortgage rates dropping. And so you can kind of also use this if you are thinking about buying today to look forward and say, hey, well, if rates do drop in the future and I'm able to refinance, how much money can I save every year when rates eventually come down? And next, we're going to look here at a graph of the Orange County active listing inventory. So this is the total number of homes for sale in Orange County. And we are the red line there. And you can see that we have been dropping at a fairly steady pace, all the way since back in July and August, which is when inventory peaked. And it's been dropping fairly slowly, but as we move into the holiday market, the number of homes on the market typically drops more rapidly, and that's because you have less new listings coming on the market, and you also have more people, frustrated sellers, that start pulling their homes off the market if they were unsuccessful in getting it sold. A lot of people decide to pull it off for the holidays and try again in the following year. And then next we're looking at buyer demand, and again we are the red line this year, and you can see that demand is relatively weak compared to what it was in the 3-year average between 2017 and 2019, which is what Stephen Thomas likes to use as kind of a metric for a normal housing market. And the reason it's so weak, and it's been weak, comparing it to the past few years, is because home ownership has become unaffordable for most people. So, many people cannot afford to purchase a home, so therefore you get a lot less people that are buying. And you can see that demand has remained relatively strong kind of moving into the end of the year. You can see a lot of these previous years, they're actually dropping at a faster pace typically during this time of year. But because we've been seeing mortgage rates coming down, this has really helped give a nice boost to buyer demand, and it has kept it relatively flat and relatively strong. So as we have less homes on the market and demand is staying relatively the same, that typically means that the housing market is picking back up again and moving back in favor of sellers. And so we can see that when we look at this next graph, which is the expected market time. And this is the number of days it would take to sell all of the homes currently on the market in Orange County at the current levels of buyer demand. And so you can see today we're sitting just above 80 days, very similar to the 2017 through 2019 average, which is the green line, slightly below where we were in 2022, and quite a bit higher than where we were back in 2024 and 2023, where the market was much hotter and much more competitive for buyers. And then moving on here, so this is a breakdown of the selling price compared to the last listing price of the home. So the blue area is representing homes that closed above the last list price. The gray area is representing homes that closed exactly at the last list price. And the orange peach-ish section is showing the percentage of homes that closed below the last list price. And so currently 26% of homes are selling over the list price, 16% at the list price, and 58% are selling below the last list price. And you can see that things are trending in the direction of fewer homes selling over the asking price and more homes selling under the asking price. And in general, this year, the housing market has been slowing down here in Orange County, becoming, less competitive for buyers, where we're getting less multiple offers and bidding wars, which is typically what drives a home to sell over the asking price. Now, the market has picked back up a little bit over the past month or two, just based on interest rates dropping, but in general, the trend is moving towards a slower housing market. And then the last thing we're going to look at here, this is the sold versus original list price analysis. So this is the original list price before the seller had to reduce the asking price, or in some cases raise it based on, getting a lot of activity. So closing above the list price, 25%, so very similar. Closing at the list price, 10%, and closing below the list price, 65%. So you can see that over half of homes are selling below the original list price that they set, and we're only getting about 25% selling over the asking price. So that wraps it up, and if you guys have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. More than happy to discuss some of these details with you in more depth if that's something you're interested in. And if you're thinking about buying or selling, I'd love to talk with you and let you know what I can do to help. We do offer free home valuation reports if you are thinking about selling and you just want to plan for the future and get a good idea of what your home would sell for. Just let me know, and I'd be more than happy to put one of those together for you. So if you enjoyed watching, I would really appreciate it if you hit the like button, and also subscribe if you like to stay up to date on the housing market here in Southern California. Have a good one.